King Solomon remains propped up on his ancient wooden staff, standing tall, but he is no longer conscious of the world around him. For an extended duration, a massive workforce of jinn continues their labor, unaware that the central command signal has ceased. The entire geopolitical structure is running on the momentum of a physical object. This creates a mechanical paradox. The kingdom continues to operate flawlessly while the king's consciousness is absent. The staff functions as the y-axis of an illusion field, a visual projection of authority the jinn perceive as truth. But when the insect compromises its structural integrity, the axis snaps. The physical support fails, and the operational grid shatters. In the logic of Surah 34:14, the Quran operates through causal constraints. This event demonstrates that structural power without a divine control signal is a self-canceling shell. Within this framework, entities like Shayṭān are not independent rivals to divine power. They serve as diagnostic variables within a system of tests. Authority built on ego or illusion eventually reaches a zero state. It requires no external intervention to collapse. It simply requires the inevitable progression of entropy. The jinn were fooled because they inhabited a dual caustic universe. This is a system split between two interacting fields of reality. On the left is the light field. This represents invariant truth and the divine command. On the right is the fire and sound field, the domain of temporal entropy and perceptual distortion. Between them is the boundary layer, known as regime. This is where human consciousness interacts with the system, applying the 2-3-7 mizan. The 2-3-7 framework tracks how the self processes information. 2 is creation's binary nature, pairs like light and dark. 3 is the triad of the test, processing pairs through belief, hypocrisy, or denial. 7 signifies completion, resolving into 7 distinct layers. Solomon was a stabilized container for the light field. The jinn, however, were processing information through the fire field. They mistook the physical wood of the staff for the authority of the king. This environment is a closed system. Subjects who focus solely on the physical mechanism are unable to detect the absence of the spiritual command. Redefining Shayṭān within the fire field reveals a mathematical feedback loop. He does not possess independent power. He functions as a specific systemic response to human choice. The initiation of this loop is recorded in Surah 7:21. It begins when the subject accepts a false projection, a deceptive oath, as a legitimate source of authority. The loop functions through invitation and response, relying entirely on the kinetic energy of human ego to remain active. It terminates in Surah 14:22, when Shayṭān confesses he had no authority. At this boundary, the perceived power spirals inward, collapsing into a null point. This confession mirrors the snap of Solomon's staff. Both reveal that the perceived authority was a hollow projection that failed as soon as the illusion field reached its limit. Shayṭān's role in the system is that of a null vector. His presence is the boundary condition required for the measurement of human free will. The fire field is often seen as an absolute destructive force. However, the system allows for the modification of these environmental parameters. In Surah 21:69, the fire becomes coolness and safety for Ibrahim. This demonstrates that fire is a programmable parameter, responding directly to the light field. Subjects escape the zero state of the illusion through a separation protocol. They must detach their consciousness from the decaying worldly structure. Ibrahim and Mūsā successfully execute this separation. Figures like Pharaoh, however, bind themselves to the illusion through ego and delay. This graph compares the jinn workforce under the staff and Pharaoh's authority. Despite their different scales, both follow the same decay curve. They start at the peak of illusion and converge at the exact same zero point. Worldly power, or Taghut, is a diagnostic tool. It isolates arrogance within the system, allowing for the clear separation of those aligned with the command. When the illusion field shatters, we must identify what remains invariant. Through the chaos, there's a single unbroken vector line. This is the Mumīn constant. It represents the minority who don't follow false assumptions, anchored by two variables, the book and rushed. The first variable is the book. In Surah 19:12, the command is given to take the scripture with strength. The book functions as a fixed reference point within the light field. It prevents a subject from anchoring their reality to external, corruptible structures, like Solomon's staff. The second variable is rushed, or internal alignment. This is exemplified by the prophet Yūnus in Surah 21. His admission of being of the wrongdoers is a systemic recalibration that restores the connection to the source. By combining the book and rushed, the subject bypasses the thermodynamic fire test. They remain anchored to the invariant truth, while the surrounding simulation collapses. The entire dual caustic universe operates like a Mobius loop. It is a single, continuous system where every action generates a corresponding reaction. Falsehood provides the entropy for its own collapse, while truth loops back to its source. The system is designed to expose what is hollow and preserve what is aligned. The Quran maps the phase transitions of existence. It details the precise mechanics of how the illusion fails, and why only light upon light remains at the end of the circuit.